I feel like it's a normal thing for most people to go on vacation in the summer. Maybe you stay like a week or so in a different state or a different country, and then you come back home and return to normal life. But you know what isn't normal? A vacation to Africa with your entire family for 2 months straight. A place where you meet a bunch of people you've never seen before, walk among animals like they're citizens, and forget what a normal bathroom feels like. And I'm going to tell you all about it. Let's start from the beginning. So, we went to Ethiopia last summer and stayed there for 2 months. But we planned that trip like 2 years in advance. I remember around 2 summers ago, my dad was talking about this big trip we were going to take to Ethiopia and all the things he would show us that we didn't see the first time we went. Yes, this was my second trip, not my first. The first trip was about 6 years ago, and that time I went with only my dad and older brother. But for this trip, we were all going. Anyways, months went by and we started preparing more and more. We started buying gifts for family members and planning out how the weeks would go. Everything was going together perfectly, except for one thing: the chickens. So, I have chickens, and I love them very dearly, so it was crucial that we found a good person to take care of them for a whole month. I say 1 month, not two, because my mom was actually coming back a month early, so she was going to take care of them after that. Luckily, I had a friend that we can call H that told me she had chickens of her own before, and so I asked her one day if she was willing to take care of them for a month, and surprisingly, she was like, yeah, sure, and I was like, oh my god, thank you so much, you're the best. So we dropped off my 3 little children there, I gave H some supplies, and kissed them goodbye for 2 months. Then a day later, we hauled all our bags and off to the airport we went. Since Ethiopia was an international flight, we had a few layovers. Our first stop was actually in Chicago, but we only stayed for a little bit. I remember my older brother really wanted to try the famous Chicago pizza, but by the time we were done with security and all that, all the stores in the airport were closed. So we didn't get to try the pizza. After that slightly disappointing layover, we had another layover to Frankfurt, Germany, which we were all really excited for, even though it was only for 8 hours. But that excitement soon turned into rage as we decided to try out the world-famous train system. We stood there waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Oh, look, there's a train!
10 minutes later.
Wait, maybe it's this one.
1 hour later.
Maybe that one?
1 eternity later.
Eventually, we just quit and decided to use the bus to go downtown instead. I remember Germany just looked so cool, but also kind of fake. I mean, the buildings looked like they had life and color compared to the concrete jungles everywhere else. And there were so many people just walking around, but to be honest, everyone just gave me NPC vibes. Like, we took this video at this restaurant we went to, and I swear it looked like AI. And to any German people watching, I mean that all in a good way. But anyways, after all that, we went back to the airport to go on our flight to Ethiopia. We still had some time left for boarding, so we calmly walked there, thought about maybe using the restrooms or something, and everyone was gone. Turns out they changed the boarding gate, as if you could just do that, but luckily, we got there just in time. I think they were actually waiting for us because literally everyone was already on the flight, so I guess that was nice. After a nice and short 7-hour flight, we landed at Addis Ababa, which was the capital of Ethiopia. At this point, I think we had all been wearing the same clothes for 3 days straight, and we all felt very disgusted, so we were all grateful to finally get settled. I remember being so surprised because everything looked so different from the last time I was there. Everything was so new and polished. It was really cool. So we actually planned everything we were going to do while we were there, and the first thing was going to the countryside. I remember how my dad would talk about our trip to Ethiopia. He always said he wanted to show us the place where he grew up, and so I was really excited. The day we planned to go there, we all woke up at 2 a.m. and huddled into this blue van. Now, it wasn't only me and my family that was going there. Some of our cousins came, and also a few other people I didn't know. And it was so cool because once we went on the main highway, there were dozens of those blue vans all going to the countryside. But I think the craziest thing about that was that once we started getting closer to the small village we were going to, all the vans went on different paths and it was only hours left. That just showed how much of the countryside there was, which really surprised me. The first thing I noticed when we got there was how many trees and rivers there were. I was almost fully expecting everything to be plain, dry land, but it was the total opposite. The whole place resembled a rainforest, and I loved it. After we got out of the blue van, we went to one of our uncle's house, and after greeting everyone, the first place I went was outside to see all the animals. If you can't tell already, I love nature, and this place was like everything I could ever dream of. There were horses and goats and chickens and this tiny little kitten I was so obsessed with. If we weren't doing anything else, it was just me and that kitten. Anyways, we went there to celebrate our Eid, so everyone was preparing and getting ready for it, and this raid was probably the most memorable one I've ever had. So usually on Eid, everyone goes to the mosque to pray a special Eid prayer and maybe listen to a small speech that the imam or the mosque leader gives. And we were going to go there to do that, but instead of using a car like I was used to, we were walking in the forest where there were rivers and trees and hills. Okay, maybe it was more of a hike. Honestly, I really liked it, except for the fact that I was hiking in a long dress that I definitely didn't fall in a river in. Anyways, we finally got there, mostly in one piece. After we prayed and listened to the speech, by the way, I didn't understand a single word. It was all in a different language. We started the long journey back. Before I can explain what happened on our way back, you should know a little backstory. So, me and my brothers share a phone, sadly. And since it's common for phones to get stolen there, we bought this random cheap phone called an Omidigi from like AliExpress or something, so it wouldn't be too much of a loss if it got stolen. And we took with us on the hike to take pictures. But then something tragic happened. We were crossing this river, and it was in my younger brother's pocket, and when my dad was helping him cross, it fell in the river, and we couldn't reach it. What was really embarrassing was that I was crashing out so hard over that, and everyone else was pretty calm about it. And now that I'm older and wiser, I don't understand why I was that mad. And as if it couldn't get any more embarrassing, the next day, I was looking for something inside of a backpack we brought, and instead of finding what I was looking for, I saw the umidigi. They brought it back from the river, and it still worked. I cannot tell you how embarrassed I was. I crashed out in front of everyone for nothing. When I say it worked, I mean the screen was glitching like crazy and it needed to be replaced, but it still worked, and it wasn't even waterproof. So the valuable lesson here is don't crash out over something that can still be salvaged, or you might end up just as embarrassed as I was. Anyways, I'm going to speedrun the rest of the week because this video is getting way too long. The next few days, we ate a bunch of delicious food with a bunch of people from the village, explored a lot of the countryside, went horseback riding, met a bunch of people, and before we knew it, we were going back on the blue van to Addis Ababa. We did so many things when we came back, and this video is already getting too long, so I'm sorry, but